So, to start off, she's a mage mid laner, probably, most likely. She excels in other roles, and I'm going to show that because I'm a carry player and I'm building like a carry. So I'm going to show how she feels and plays like in the carry lane. But needless to say, she's a good mage, does a lot of damage, high burst, and she's got some really fun abilities, and her ult is the best part, which we'll get to in a second. So let's start with the passive as we usually would, shown right here on the side, like this sword. It also shows on the actual sword in game, and I'm using the diamond skin, which I don't have yet because I haven't played this character enough. But it's a visual indicator on the sword if you don't have this picture for some reason. It's like runes on it, or symbols rather, and it's accurate to the actual passive indicator. So there's up to 5 of them because there's 5 different abilities you need to hit across all the enemy team. And if there's just one, then just on that one person. But you don't have to hit the same god with all these abilities to get the benefits. As long as you've hit those abilities, each and every single one of them, all 5, you will get it. So what are you actually getting? For each rune that you have, you're getting, as you see at the top right, it's kind of not really, you can't really see it too well, but it says you get 2 magical power plus zero point 0.4 per level for each symbol. So that's only just for one. So if you have all 5 though, that is doubled. And at level 20, I did the math. It adds up to 100 power. So basically, when you have all 5 runes filled out, you get 100 power for like 10 seconds or so. In addition to your ultimate being reduced off cooldown, if it is on cooldown, by 10 seconds. And I'll try to show that right now. Just try to close your eyes. Don't look at this ult right now. Just don't look at it. Just don't look at it. Don't look at it. You didn't see it. Just look at the cooldown now, okay? So, and also try not to look at the abilities. I'm just getting them out of here just so that you can see the passive. So 2 things to look out here for when I hit this next ability is the power, right here, which is 490 currently, and the cooldown of my ultimate, which is at 60 seconds. So look at both of them. Ultimate went down by 10 seconds, and the power is now up. It should go up to 100. Right there, we lose 100 because we gained 100 from the passive. And also we lost some from the runes previously. So yeah, that's pretty much all that happens from your passive, which is really good actually. I mean, if you build full cooldown on this character, I imagine you can have your ult up a lot of the time. And it's a really cool ult, and it has a lot of good effects on it, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, that was the bulk of her passive, and there's a lot of words there, but just to summarize, um, you get power per runes, and when you get all 5 runes filled out, you get a big power buff, and your ult comes off cooldown. So next is her 1, which I showed previously, but I told you not to look. It will hit the gods twice if they're in the radius, and it will do more damage in the center. And then it'll also play a secondary effect. So on top of marking them, which is something we'll use for the ult, really only applies to the ultimate, but it will mark them, do an effect, and it'll deal more damage if they're in the center. So the secondary effect of the first one, which you can see down here, will be a fear. And you can see that how he's running away, and then he gets marked right there. That's only for your ultimate. You don't need to worry about that for anything else. So her passive is kind of like 2 different things, I guess you could put it that way. Basically, the first part of your passive, I guess you could say it's your ultimate's passive. So the characters that are marked are important for using your ult, but for getting your actual passive off, you don't need to worry about the gods that are marked. You just need to know which runes you need to fill out next, if you want to utilize it. And I think the first one, which we just used, is the fear, and then this next one under it's going to be the slow, and then the one after it's going to be the third one, which we'll use in a second here. So you can change which one you use by first starting to cast your 1. And I guess you're going to have to keep your 1 on default mode, because if you go instant, oh, actually it doesn't matter. It's forcing you to pick one anyways. Oh no. Once you select your other ability, or your form of that ability, it just casts it. So I don't know. I prefer default though. But anyways, um, yeah, so we have the fear, slow, and then now the third one is going to be a decoy. You can see it fills up our 3rd rune slot. And yeah, she's just going to smack him for a bit. I don't think they're very tanky because when I use them, they die in like one auto or so. So let me just try and show this slow off a little bit better.
Taste the wicked blade.
Yeah, you can see he gets visibly slowed down by 35%. Wait, right there. Yeah. And then the 2 is a knock up and then a push away. And to get them knocked up, you have to hit them with this first part of the T, like the top of the T, I guess, because it's like an upside down T. And then the actual long part of the ability is where the dragon flies. So you get the knock up, and then you get the push there, and then you also get the fourth part of your passive. In addition to marking other gods, which also is only important for the ultimate. I have to stress that because it's gonna be a little bit confusing, but she's got a lot of things going for her. And then lastly, it's the 3. Well, lastly before the ult, it's the 3. It's gonna hit them, apply a dot, and if they do a movement ability, say like a leap or a dash or something of the sort, then they take an extra amount of damage, which says right here bonus damage. And yeah, so it does a lot of fucking damage, but they have to do something within that 4 seconds, as you can see by the burning. So as long as they do something during that time, you get the extra damage. And on top of that, you get a speed increase, no matter if you hit or miss. And I think it's 16% at level 1, which is almost a full boost, so you kind of have a little bit of a free boots in your early game for just a little bit if you use this ability appropriately. And then lastly, yeah, her ultimate. So it's a cone, and from the marks that you saw earlier, she will consume any of the marks, which will make her ultimate, the AoE of her ultimate swing larger. So I'll try to get all the marks on this guy really quick first. Oops. And then I will, then I will ult. So she takes all the marks off, does a lot of damage to him, and then just look at the radius of that. So that's something I actually didn't know. I guess I didn't read it that much. But for any god marked, she will consume those marks when she casts her ult, if she casts it in the cone radius. So if I cast it right now on him, it'll consume them and then do damage. But if I do it this way, you can see it won't take the marks, and the ult isn't that big. So this isn't super important if you hit your shots, but that first part is pretty nice because you're going to do a lot of damage. If they somehow happen to have every single mark on them, somehow, you can just see how much damage that is. So that's pretty much all there is to this character. I guess for a couple of tips and tricks I have, this is going to go a little bit longer than I had predicted because there's just some things I wanted to cover. All of her abilities should be on instant cast, just because of well, I guess it's up to you, but I like them all on instant cast because the 3 you can't really aim; it's just gonna shoot straight no matter what. And same with the 2, you can't really aim it; it's just gonna go where you're looking, and the knockup's gonna be right where you are. So you don't really need to worry about aiming those, which cuts a lot of time during the fights out. You don't have to be precise or anything with those abilities. The only ones you really need to worry about are the 1, which is forcing you to aim anyways, as we showed on the instant casting part. And yeah, the ult is pretty much, you can't aim the cone. She just does that on default, and then you already have the aiming reticle indicator. So I like those just for me. If you don't want them, you don't have to. It's just a quick little helpful hint I have for you, I guess. A couple of things I guess I can say that I've learned from playing her a couple games, maybe about 5 or so. Generally, you want to use the decoy when you're just poking out, because the slow's not going to do much for you if you're not going to go in them and engage them, or if they're running away from you. And the fear's not going to do anything for you either, because the fear, I think it's like a random direction sometimes. Or it's very hard to get them to come towards you. But if you're really good at hitting the ability, you could sometimes fear them towards you, but those are some rare occasions. You'd probably be better off trying to just decoy them and letting that happen. If you're not planning on closing the distance, if you're just trying to poke them out, just drop the decoy and walk away. So that's pretty much it for that ability. Unless you're in team fights, probably the slow is your best bet. And then if you need peel, if someone's on you,
Arise and crush
you can just drop
them.
your 2. Should give you some space to clear away, and if it's not, throw your 3 out for some more movement speed to get out. You could save your 1 for a fear if they're on you. It could give you a
Sinister.
split second of space. But this character is very reliant on like juking and speed and knowing your positioning. If you're not positioning well with this character, all of her peel is not going to do anything for you. You have to use your abilities wisely, and you have to learn like distancing with characters. But in some cases, when you have team for peel, this character feels pretty good. So a couple of combos I have learned already that are pretty beneficial are if you're boxing up close, which you most likely don't want to be since you're not a melee character. But if you get jumped on or whatever, you can hit them with your 2 and immediately throw your 3 out. And it's up to you what you want to do after that. Because you can see how much this does to somebody already. It's going to knock them up, knock them away,
Embrace the
and
burning
then apply the
shroud.
stot. And if they want to pursue you during those 4 seconds, remember, they'll take bonus damage for chasing after you. So there's a lot of burst there. I probably wouldn't want to jump on this character despite her immobility sometimes because just look at how vicious that is, honestly. And I'm out of there. I have movement speed, you're debuffed, yada yada yada. I didn't even use my 1 yet, and I didn't even cast my ultimate. So she's pretty dangerous in that aspect, but that doesn't mean she's immortal or invincible. It's just a quick way to get somebody off of you. And going back to what I was saying, you can either choose to keep the fight going. You can backpedal with your movement speed, throw some autos out, or if you feel like there's more people coming after you instead of just one guy that you can't take on, you can just get up out of there. Run towards your team, run towards your tower, and just back. Or something. You'll figure it out. So that's it for her 2-3 combo. Pretty much save your 2 for whenever someone jumps on you, unless you're just trying to clear the wave. And I guess we can go to that portion now. Spawn the minions. If there's nobody pushing you, you need to clear the wave. I guess your 3-2 isn't the worst, but it negates all of your peel pretty much. So it's pretty dangerous to use it. You can get by with just using her 1, which I'll show just now. Keep in mind I am level 20, but still, you'll get the general idea. Clear the minions pretty simply. If I hit the back ones, it would have full cleared, but it hits the whole wave twice, pretty much. So it's a good wave clear. So yeah, that's pretty much all of her abilities. And then lastly, her ult will heal her her swing if she hits. You can't miss these. You have to hit them. So let me go ahead and get one shot from something, I guess the fire, and show you. And we'll read it while we're getting hit. So providing a missing health heal per enemy god hit. So you can't do it off of the fire giant, although it's giving me health. That's from my boots and my spear of the magus. Those are giving me lifesteal. But it will proc off enemy gods and only gods. So
Need time to retrieve.
Ideally the best case scenario for this character were if she had a god marked, and it seems you can only mark them 3 times.
Oh,
Because if I try to get them again, oh no, maybe the marks just run out. So the best case scenario would be
face the wrath
that.
of the sorceress scorned.
That would be your best case scenario with her ult, but it's most likely not going to happen. I wouldn't try for it. It's kind of something that just lines up, or if you focus somebody. Because once again, getting those marks on someone is pretty difficult. I'm not sure how long they last. 30 seconds. So for 30 seconds, it's going to be kind of hard to do this in a team-based mode, like Conquest, but in Duel I can imagine this will be a lot better. So other than that, yeah, that's kind of all there is to her right now. Once again, I only have her at about Mastery 1, Mastery 2. So yeah. That's pretty much it for the character, guys. So we'll see you in the gameplay now.